Hello and welcome to Portal Zoom's Patch Notes. I am your host Alex and I'm here with Joe.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about the Souls series and Bloodborne, because it's pretty much the same thing. So what we're going to do today, we're just going to touch on all the Souls games and talk about the development of them, how they progressed, what we've liked, things that we haven't liked, what we'd like to do, if they're going to do anything else, what we'd like to see in the future. So let's start with the beginning. Demon Souls, PS3 game. Did you ever play Demon Souls, Joe?
Yeah, I did play it. I played it. I got to a bit late, I think. I didn't actually get around to finishing this one. I think Dark Souls came out like just after I got Demon Souls. So I got distracted. But yeah, I did play it. I enjoyed it. But you played it a lot more than I did.
Yeah. So Demon Souls for me, I remember just grabbing that because it had a cool case in game, and it was like a limited edition box. It was like 15 quid, and I had heard it was quite a hardcore sort of game. That's all I really knew about it, and it really opened up the door for Dark Souls, I feel, because they did it in a very simple way. You know, they had the way that they did things back then. It was much more confined, so it was like you go for a portal and you're in this zone, you go for another portal, you're in this zone.
It's more linear.
Yeah, very much so. But it kind of worked because it kind of, I think back then it was a case of testing the waters for the sort of combat system.
It still didn't hold your hand at all.
No.
It was never obvious what's going on at any stage.
No, the lore was always very encrypted and deep. The general gist of what you're supposed to do was never clear. But because it was more linear, it was more obvious. But like we said, it paved the way to Dark Souls 1, which is probably the game we'll talk about the most here.
Arguably the best.
Yeah, arguably the best. So you've played Dark Souls 1, obviously. So let's just hear your thoughts of Dark Souls 1.
It was, it was just baptism by fire, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much.
Obviously, you start off in the little prison area, as you do. You always have RPG ways. You're a prisoner. Someone kicks a body down. Yeah. Get the key, and then you go off to find your way in this new world.
Yeah. And they throw you in the deep end very quickly. I remember with Dark Souls 1, it was, and that's their kind of pattern of thing. Is it was let's get them dead as fast as possible. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about it. And it was that first time I remember fighting the boss, I was just thinking, what am I supposed to do here? Like, do you kill this thing or do you run or? And then as you fight through it, shit just gets worse, and it's just like crazy game.
But eventually, you start to figure out a bit, and you get in a rhythm. You kind of learn more about the items and how to actually do stuff.
Yeah, you learn the combat, I guess, and I think that's the big thing for Dark Souls is learning the combat and the way they expect you to play. It's you can choose your poison with how you want to fight, but it's the same thing. It's pick your battles correctly. Yeah. But what I remember of Dark Souls 1 is after you finish that little initial intro area, they open you out to the big wide world, and it's kind of like initially go where you want.
You can just pick and choose where you go. Obviously, you'll run into some dangerous mobs along the way if you go too far.
That's what I remember was you walked. The first thing I did, I walked left down to the zone where the skeletons were. And they destroyed me very quickly, and I was like, okay.
I think most people end up doing that. Yeah, it's just like the more tempting way to go.
Yeah, exactly. And then you realise it's like, okay, I'm not strong enough for this. Let's move on, and you move on. And the thing with Dark Souls as well is the more you progress through the game, I feel the more you get sucked into them as well. Like the stronger you become, the more you think you can do it, and then they always remind you, actually, no, you can't.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, it's like very punishing. It's also very rewarding.
Yeah. Which is the big thing for Dark Souls, obviously. It's the funny thing is the reward is just the satisfaction. Obviously, you do get loot and stuff like that from boss souls, bits and bobs like that. But really, it is just the accomplishment of doing it is the greatest feeling with that. So Dark Souls 1, let's just touch on one more thing before we move on.
Was there much multiplayer in Demon Souls, or is that mainly a Dark Souls feature?
There was, but it was very lacklustre back then. It was just, I don't really remember doing anything in it. And I think the people that did do it well knew exactly what they were doing. So
they're just come and destroy you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, with Dark Souls 1, we're going to touch on one boss before we move on, just because we've got a few other games to talk about.
The infamous.
Infamous Smog and Ornstein. So Joe, just tell people who haven't played Dark Souls 1 who Smog and Ornstein are, or not who they are, but what they do.
How do you describe this? They just work together to make your life a complete misery.
So there's two people.
Yeah.
One big fatty.
One's got a massive hammer. Yeah. One's got a pokey spear and lots of lightning.
And he's very quick.
And together, they make Smog and Ornstein.
Yeah. And it was the classic Dark Souls thing where you take down Smog and Ornstein, you think you've got them both, and then that moment you think you've done it, they're like, actually, we're going to combine now and become super mega.
Yeah, I liked how there was two options. If you killed like different ways, then obviously it was slightly easier and more difficult, but you got different loot from it.
Yeah. Again, it's just a simple little thing to do. They just give you a few different ways of fighting, and it's just
you can never get everything the first time round in that game.
No.
I suppose you can, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean they encourage New Game Plus in a big way. And back then, I think Dark Souls had a relatively simple PvP system as well. It was like you could invade people pretty easily.
Yeah, you could summon people to help you
as well. But it wasn't easy. I would say it was just like
no, definitely not easy.
And again, it's like I feel like if there was one thing that would be nice for Dark Souls to explain, it's the PvP. Just it briefly explained to me what I can do.
It's more just the items you pick up, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I haven't done much of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I remember there were certain zones you go to queue for it. I think they maybe added expansions for
I think that was Dark Souls 2.
Oh, was it 2? Okay.
Maybe 2, I don't know. But we'll move on to 2 anyway. So, Dark Souls 2 came around. Obviously, we were already fully hooked into Dark Souls series-wise. What do you remember from Dark Souls 2? Overall impressions?
I think this was probably the low point in the series for me. Not saying that that's making it a bad game, but as compared to the others, I didn't find it as enjoyable. I'm not sure why.
It was almost one of those things that they'd accomplished so much in one that it's hard to replicate, I suppose. And I feel like the thing with Dark Souls 2 was there was a fair amount of repetition from 1 as well. There was a lot of like very similar mobs, very similar zones, stuff like that.
It wasn't that long after the 1 came out, though, was it?
Yeah,
2 was...
It was almost give it a bit of a meal quickly and move on. So, I mean,
but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's still a great game, and I'll still have to go back and play it.
Yeah,
you know. But it just in the series, it was probably like you said, the low point. So then after that, they did Bloodborne,
which was
very different.
PlayStation exclusive, different kind of name altogether.
PS4, like,
and it was just everything about it was very different.
Yeah. From beginning to end.
But if you had played a Souls game before, it would feel familiar at the same time.
Yeah, which was strange. And because all I remember thinking to myself during Bloodborne 3, during Bloodborne was, could you imagine a Dark Souls game that felt like this? And that was what I loved about Bloodborne, was they tried something else.
Yeah.
You know, they took away your defences. You know, you didn't really have shields in this game. It was all about rolling and just evading generally, which you could always do in Dark Souls games, but it's never easy. Yeah, it's always
you used to hide behind a massive shield.
Yeah, exactly.
Just take no damage.
But then they forced you to, and again, I liked the lore of Bloodborne as well. It felt a bit.
The whole setting was just, I think
very
it was
eerie.
Yeah, they did a much better job of like creating an environment.
Yeah,
like a really
gruesome kind of environment. Yeah, and I feel like even the story kind of made a bit more sense. You know, quests you found along the way, it was all kind of like, okay, I kind of
the hunters and it was.
You get what's going on. Whereas in the Souls series, they're notorious for being very cryptic.
I think it was a great entry point for new people into the series.
That's a very good point. I think that, you know, if you're going to start in this series somewhere, Bloodborne is the place to get into it. Just because it's so fluid as well.
And I think I know a lot of people saw this as a downside, but the lack of weapon diversity.
Again, it would help newcomers in the big way.
As Free's come out now, and I've finished that now, the amount of weapons you gather in your inventory, it can be impossible to know like which ones are actually good, which ones do you want to invest your shards in and stuff. So yeah, I guess it did make it simpler in that aspect.
Did you find that Bloodborne was as challenging as the Souls games, like Dark Souls 1, 2, before it?
As challenging? I don't remember it being significantly easier.
No. And I suppose by this point you've already experienced Dark Souls 1 and 2, so you're a more experienced player as well. But I mean, I remember it had some tough bosses.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
died a fair amount.
Oh yeah, there was
playthroughs.
the classic "you died" screen is shown like very often in these games.
I think the major negative from that was the long load times after dying.
Very long load times,
Yeah.
which was surprising, seeing as it was a PS4 game. You kind of expected all these things to kind of be better.
It was the first one though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but still, I mean, a great game, and like you said, I think newcomers is a great place to sort of start.
Yeah.
So now we're on to Dark Souls 3. Which obviously where we're at right now. Me and you both finished it recently.
Must have been out like a month now, or was it just weeks?
Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe a month max. But so Dark Souls 3. How did you feel?
I really liked it. I'm definitely going to keep playing it for quite a while, I think.
Yeah.
Although there are a lot of games coming out.
Yeah. I think it'll always be a little thing in my back though. I'll always go back and do a little bit more.
I don't know. Maybe just popping on to do some multiplayer. I like making my guy as beast mode as possible.
Yeah. And that's another thing, I suppose. Just drawing back to Bloodborne very quickly is at the end of Bloodborne they had a lot of stuff that you could do. Well, they tried to give you a lot of stuff.
They had the whole dungeons, didn't they?
Which with Dark Souls 3 you don't really have that. And it's another. I think the one thing with Dark Souls games is you get to the end and it's. If you don't really understand the PvP system, it's kind of like, what do I need to do now? You know?
Well, I think most people, or pretty much everyone, will miss a lot of the quests the first time around. I know I did. I missed probably most of them.
I missed most of them the second time around.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely a lot more I'm going to do.
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of the Souls games generally, is because you're going to miss stuff no matter what it is.
Yeah.
They always encourage you just do New Game Plus, go get the extra stuff you found, you know, and play stuff differently. Truly. And I think Dark Souls 3 did it better than any other game in terms of giving you diversity in terms of how you play. You know, it felt there was always the same characters.
We haven't touched on magic much recently.
No, we'll talk about magic now that it's such a big point in 3. Because I played magic in Demon Souls. Which was very, very different. And I remember magic was so hard in Demon Souls that I had to give up and start at night to complete it. And then they never really did magic that well, I feel. It was always in the games, wasn't it? But
yeah, I think Bloodborne, I remember doing a lot of multiplayer in Bloodborne.
Yeah.
And some of the spells online could really ruin your day.
Yeah. They started to bring it back with Bloodborne. And they went crazy with Dark Souls 3 in terms of the amount of spells you can have now. It's great in Dark Souls 3 as well, because it just feels like it's balanced. And I think that's the thing for me was, beforehand, if you did spells in Dark Souls 1 and 2, it was very much,
Although there are some bosses that it definitely looks like cheating.
Oh, yeah. and there's some that will significantly punish you for not being a tank, you know, and there's all of these kind of moments that just giving you that, again, that extra thing to do. You know, the magic side of things is just a great sort of addition. And the way that they did the Estus class switching, allowing you to sort of actually play a mage properly, just makes it all a beautiful thing, really. So, you know, it's no denying that we're huge Dark Souls fans.
Yeah.
Enjoyed every single game they've ever released, and they've said that Dark Souls 3 is going to be the end of the Souls series.
Which is sad, but...
Sad to see it go, but I'd almost rather than finish it on a high note. Like, don't...
And they definitely have.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is don't try and give us another one that's going to be half of what 3 was. You know, in my opinion, you've nailed it. You know, you're going to go on and do VR or whatever they're going to do, but what would you expect to see from them now?
You know what? I just don't know. It could be anything.
It could be anything. I mean, they have said it's going to be... They're doing a PSVR game. IP.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I'll be disappointed if it is just... But
then maybe,
my feelings are well known about
maybe
VR.
Maybe that they're the ones to bring VR around for you, and you know, Dark Souls VR. Get involved.
I mean, I have faith in them, but I don't have that much faith.
Not enough to say VR for you yet.
No, not yet.
Well, okay. Well, we don't know what's going to happen with From Software in the whole series. We're just going to have to wait and see. But obviously, like we said, the Souls series, if you've never played it now, get involved. And for all other things relating Souls and Bloodborne and all of those great games, just stay tuned to Pause Music.